Good morning, everyone. My name is Colin Blyth with PMG, and I want to talk to you today about Paper Money Guarantee, PMG, and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, or NGC, and how the services they provide reduce purchase risk for the collectors and maximize sales results. So this is the presentation outline. So I'll just talk about who are PMG and NGC, and then review what makes the companies expert and impartial, and then how they add value to the collectors, so that by reducing the purchase risk for the collectors and maximizing the sales results. So who is PMG? So Paper Money Guarantee, or PMG, is the world's largest third-party authentication, grading, and encapsulation service for paper money. PMG has certified more than 6 million notes since 2005. And who is NGC? Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, or NGC, is the world's largest third-party authentication, grading, and encapsulation service for coins, tokens, and metals. And NGC has certified more than 50 million coins, tokens, and metals since 1987. And PMG and NGC are part of 2 of 8 independent companies that are part of the Certified Collectibles Group, or CCG. The CCG companies grade, conserve, and preserve banknotes, coins, comic books, trading cards, sports cards, stamps, estate items, and related collectibles. And in July 2021, Blackstone, one of the world's largest investment firms with nearly 650 billion US in assets under management, acquired a majority stake in CCG in a transaction valuing the company at more than 500 million. The Blackstone purchase is a testament to the extraordinary growth of the whole collectibles industry and a commitment to further expand CCG's geographic and product reach. The CCG companies are headquartered in Sarasota, Florida, United States, operating from 2 secure facilities totaling 82,000 square feet. So a lot of space. These facilities have access-controlled walk-in vaults for secure storage of collectibles, a staff of armed guards, and hundreds of security cameras. Reflecting the strength of the international collectibles market, PMG and NGC also have offices in London, Munich, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. And unlike other smaller third-party certification services, collectors can have confidence that when they deal with PMG and NGC, they're dealing with a trusted business partner with financial strength and years of experience servicing the collectibles community. And as a symbol of impartiality, Lady Justice is often depicted in courtrooms with a set of scales, typically suspended from one hand, representing the weighing of evidence. The scales signify that evidence should stand on its own and conveys the idea that justice should be applied without regard to wealth, power, or other status. Similarly, the scales depicted in the PMG-NGC logos, which you can see at the bottom right of the slide, show that the grade assigned to the note or coin is an impartial one, based only on the merits of the note or coin itself, regardless of the owner or any other outside factor. Both PMG and NGC share a common approach that is rooted in complete independence and objectivity. PMG and NGC are committed to accurate, consistent, and impartial grading using a 70-point numerical grading scale, often referred to as the Sheldon grading scale, which was first used in the United States in the late 1940s. And the expertise of PMG and NGC come from a deep bench strength of research and grading professionals. In the combined offices, there are more than 20 full-time research positions and 50 full-time graders employed. Both PMG and NGC have comprehensive research libraries to assist in the identification and authentication process, and access to a network of contacts who are experts in specialized fields. In addition, the research and grading teams use an extensive database of proprietary paper money and coin images, including genuine, counterfeit, and altered examples, to help in the identification process. Senior graders have more than a decade of grading experience and are among the most trusted experts in the world. The grading team is a team effort with at least 2 grading professionals examining every item. To ensure impartiality, PMG and NGC do not buy or sell collectibles, and their full-time graders are prohibited from commercial trading to prevent conflicts of interest. There are strict rules in place that stipulate no grader may be involved with grading any items they own or any items that may result in personal, financial, or influential gain. Customer identification information is not provided to the grading team to help ensure that they're not aware of or influenced by the name of the submitter. The PMG and NGC label is sealed inside the holder separately from the note and coin and acts as a permanent record to identify pertinent details of the note or coin, such as the country that issued the note and coin, as well as the denomination, year of issue, serial number, variety, and catalog reference number. And furthermore, expertise comes in the form of high-tech equipment, such as an X-ray fluorescent analyzer, or XRF, to analyze non-organic elemental properties. And for those of you that collect banknotes, you may be aware of the Ming Dynasty 1 Quan Chinese notes that were made on mulberry bark paper. And that's an example of where we bring in XRF. We know what that chemical element makeup is of that paper. So we're always checking it because we see a lot of counterfeit attempts at that. So we have a very good understanding within PMG of what that composition of the paper should be from the XRF analysis. We also use different light sources under magnification, such as UV, infrared, LED, and side lighting, which really helps us assist in identifying deceptive counterfeits and altered notes. And ultimately, it's the human eye, it's the grader that will look at it, but if something looks odd, we will then take it over to the specialized equipment to check it more carefully. When submissions are sent in, they're opened under security cameras, and every step of the way the process is documented with digital video. So the security cameras, when the package is opened, it's checked on receipt to verify that the contents match what is stated on the invoice. And each note or coin is then assigned a unique invoice identification number with a barcode that can be tracked through every stage of the grading process. And work is conducted in dedicated, clean, climate-controlled, purpose-built workspaces. Collectors who submit notes and coins can directly contact an experienced team of customer service representatives by phone or email, and they'll be able to respond to questions about submissions in a timely manner. In addition, PMG and NGC share their industry expertise by writing original articles that are posted online on the company websites. Industry announcements, new discoveries, and the latest research are among the topics discussed. So now let's get to the more important part here after the commercial. So I think a lot of you are asking yourself, what is the added value to the collector in using PMG or NGC services? And while I just talked about PMG, how PMG and NGC are expert and impartial, how exactly does that benefit the collector? And why should a collector part with their hard-earned money to get their treasured collectibles graded by NGC or PMG? And some collectors think, and I was probably one of them a long time ago, I know how to grade, so what's benefit do I get in having a third party provide their opinion on the grade? And what these collectors may not fully appreciate is the benefits in having their note or coin graded and encapsulated by PMG NGC go far beyond the numeric grade itself. And from my perspective, the biggest risk taken by a collector is during the purchase of a note or coin. And paying a fair market price for an accurately described item is crucial to the long-term enjoyment of the hobby and building the best collection budgets will allow. PMG and NGC stand in the collector's corner by offering a service that provides real added value benefits that fall into two main categories, and the first being reducing the collector's purchasing risk, and the second generalized category being maximizing. So the paper money market and the coin market is threatened by counterfeit and altered notes and coins, pressed, processed, and repaired notes and coins giving the false appearance of a higher grade, and sellers grading their own notes and coins, which is obviously a conflict of interest. So one of the primary services that PMG and NGC offer for items they encapsulate is to confirm authenticity. So that is the item genuine? And PMG and NGC will not grade coins and notes that are counterfeit, altered, or of questionable authenticity. So it's not enough to be able to grade if one is not first aware that they're grading a counterfeit. And PMG and NGC know from firsthand there are many deceptive counterfeits and altered notes and coins in the marketplace today. A bad experience in unknowingly buying a counterfeit or altered item has serious financial consequences to the collector, and such a bad experience may result in the permanent loss of that collector for the numismatic community. When it comes to assigning grade, a major concern for collectors is the number of raw notes and coins in the market that have been pressed, cleaned, or repaired. When these problems are accurately described by the seller, a fair price can be agreed upon. However, the problem is when they're not disclosed, either knowingly or unknowingly, it gives the false impression to the buyer of a higher grade and harms the buyer. So, for example, expertly pressed out notes can be extremely hard to see in the bright overhead fluorescent lights on many bourse floors, including the one to the right of me, or in a scanned picture posted online in an auction site. And a seller's offered uncirculated grade may be in reality a pressed EF. So PMG and NGC provide an independent third-party grade assessment. We have no financial motivation to overgrade, as a seller may tend to do, or undergrade, as a buyer may tend to do. Thus, PMG and NGC act as a trusted neutral arbitrator between the buyer and seller. And importantly, PMG and NGC back up our grade opinions with a comprehensive guarantee that it's the strongest in the industry. Any note or coin that is graded by PMG or NGC is guaranteed to be, one, genuine, and two, not overgraded. So unlike some other third-party grading companies, the PMG-NGC guarantee has no preset monetary limit, and the remedy of the guarantee is being based on the purchase price of the item and fair market value. It's also important to be aware that the PMG and NGC guarantee is transferable and stays with the encapsulated note or coin. And for example, if an NGC graded coin is sold 10 times to 10 different buyers, the 10th buyer still retains the NGC guarantee on the coin. This guarantee acts as a type of insurance policy on a collector's purchase. This protection to the collector is included as part of the original grading fee. And another way that PMG and NGC reduce a collector's purchase risk is through the holder itself. The note and coin is housed in a secure, tamper-evident holder that includes sophisticated security features that protect against counterfeiting and tampering, such as a hologram and label with watermark, as well as additional covert features. Each holder has a unique certification number that can be verified online on the company website or through a mobile app. Since 2008, nearly every note and coin that PMG NGC have graded has been imaged on the holder, prior to being returned to the submitter, and can be viewed in the PMG NGC's Verify certification tool online. So these images, along with the certification data, can be helpful to assess the authenticity of a holder. And so I think most of us would probably agree, but most collectors collect for enjoyment rather than financial gain. So while that's true, all collectors or their heirs will eventually be faced with selling their treasures, and it would really be foolish not to take every advantage to maximize the sales returns from a collection that took years of effort and knowledge to build. PMG NGC graded notes and coins have a proven track record of achieving higher auction prices than the same raw notes or coins. And this helps maximize the collector's sales result. And I'd say while an individual note or coin will still be the same item, regardless of whether it's inside the holder or not, collectibles inside the PMG NGC graded holder are more confidently bought and sold online than comparable ones in raw condition. So collectors pay more for PMG NGC certified notes and coins because they simply have more trust in them. So PMG and NGC add value and liquidity to collectibles. For every note or coin, condition rarity and overall population numbers can be researched online through PMG NGC population reports. And these census tools show the relative rarity by type and grade and can provide a prospective buyer with independent confirmation that the rarity as stated by the seller aligns with PMG NGC data. So collectors are really temporary custodians of the items they collect. And proper storage of the notes and coins to prevent unintentional damage can help, obviously, maximize future sales results. So PMG and NGC encapsulate notes and coins in the highest quality inert materials using the latest technologies to deliver superior optics, preservation, and security. The NGC holder, for example, is used by the Smithsonian Institute and other museums around the world to protect their most treasured rarities. The heavy gauge material with no openings or perforations is ideal for long-term storage, preservation, and guarding against environmental hazards and contaminants. And buyers will also take comfort that the American Numismatic Association, or ANA, and the Professional Numismatists Guild, PNG, have both named PMG and NGC as their official grading services. There we go, slipped to there. So just to summarize, so I'll end it here, and just to summarize in conclusion, PMG and NGC provide collectors around the world with expert and impartial third-party grading services. These services reduce purchase risk and help maximize sales results. And PMG and NGC have made the paper money coin market safer, more transparent, and more liquid. Gracias. Thank you very much.
La primera pregunta, ¿cuáles son los costos de certificación de una moneda y de un billete por parte de su empresa? Y segundo, ¿cuáles son los tiempos entre que se envían las piezas y estas vuelven certificadas? Gracias.
Colin, our friends asked us the price when to certificate to grade a banknote or to grade a coin, and what is the turn time, like the return time that the company is spending to return the piece once it's delivered to him?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. The simple answer is you can go onto the website, pmgnotes.com, which is, it's down at the bottom left there. And if you go into services and fees, it'll show you, we have several different tiers, and it's all based on the value of the note or coin. And you can look down there, and it'll tell you the price and what the current turnaround time is for that item. But I'll explain a little bit more because the turnaround time changes depending on how busy we are, especially for the lower grade items. It's always very quick for very valuable items. So we have everything up from something that's worth over $50,000. That's you'd be talking about a $250 fee plus 1% of fair market value. So those are the most expensive items, and then we go all the way down to the items that are less than $300 a piece. And from the PMG side, you can do bulk grading of those. If they're consecutive items, for example, they'd be $13 a note, or to $15 note for mixed bulk. So there's quite a range, but I'd say typically if a note is worth $1,000, you're looking at about a $30 grading fee. But then if you sign up and you become a collector services member, you can have a 10% discount. But typically you're looking at about, let's say $30 for a $1,000 note, and coming back to you in 2 to 3 weeks. That's the grade time. Then you have the mailing time in between. Okay.
Colin?
Yes.
Can I?
Yeah.
Bueno, básicamente respondiendo un poco a tu pregunta, quería comentarte que la PMG tiene unas categorías diferentes dependiendo de la moneda, de la pieza que se entrega. Dependiendo del valor de la pieza, es el cobro que se hace sobre la certificación. ¿Sí? Entonces, Colin te sugiere que puedes revisar la página web para que veas esas categorías, y dependiendo de la categoría en la que se ajuste tu pieza, podrás saber cuál es el tiempo. Una pieza promedio con un costo de $1,000, más o menos, o en promedio, su costo de certificación son $30, y el tiempo que se demoran en entregártela está entre 2 y 3 semanas, más el tiempo que se demore el despacho vía courier, dependiendo del lugar que tú quieres que te la envíen.
I thought I'd add one thing, because sometimes I'll get people say, why do you charge $250 for a note that's worth $75,000 and only $15 for a note that's less than $300? Isn't it the same amount of work? What's such a huge difference in price? And yes and no. Yes, we have to physically grade and look at the note, but I just mentioned in the earlier slides here that once that goes in a holder, PMG guarantees that's authentic, and we guaranteed the grade is correct. So if for some reason that's an insurance policy, so if something is not right, we have to pay out. So if we grade that it's a counterfeit, we have to pay you the full value of what you paid for that note. So the risk premium is much, much higher to us on a very valuable note. So you're paying a relatively more amount, just as if you were doing an insurance policy on a mansion versus a shack, you're going to expect to pay more on the mansion.
¿Te quedó? Ok. Sí, básicamente el precio varía dependiendo de la responsabilidad que tiene PMG sobre el valor de la pieza. Hay un seguro asociado a la pieza que estás graduando. Si es una pieza muy costosa y hubiera cualquier problema, PMG tiene que responder por el valor de tu pieza.
I think Hilton and such.
Thank you for the presentation. COVID-19 has significantly challenged logistics throughout the world, making it much more harder to ship things everywhere. How does that, and if that has affected the business over the last 2 years? It's really hard for us from Latin America to ship things down to the US because of customs, lots of problems that might happen along the way. Do you guys envision anything to make our life easier in Latin America?
And that's a question, I think the same question be asked Hilton everywhere in the world. And that's one thing with the Blackstone investment, is to try to expand further, because you can imagine it's a lot of money to expand the geographic reach and put all the equipment and the staff in geographic locations. But we have started. So we now have an office in Munich to service Europe, to make it easier for them to get items in. Same with Shanghai and Hong Kong. And I envision down the road, as the demand is there, it's really a simple business decision. Where are most of the notes coming from? Will this encourage more submissions or not? But I'll just mention, so that is definitely an issue. We still have the bulk of our orders are shipped in, and people will ship them by insured courier or through mail. I would certainly say don't ship anything that's not insured, because that's a huge risk. Most people that are concerned about that would submit directly at a show, because we travel internationally and we attend shows. But as Hilton rightly said, the last year has been very unusual. We have not attended physically. The grading teams have not been in these shows. While we'll accept submissions, it's very difficult logistically as well during COVID to get whole teams there. And I was concerned when COVID hit that this would have an impact on submissions, that you might see submissions drop. And in reality, the complete opposite has happened, and our submissions are higher than they've ever been, and we're struggling to keep up. We need to keep hiring more graders. So our turnaround time is longer than we'd like right now. We have backlogs. We're receiving probably about 5,000 notes a day coming into the office, and we're struggling to keep up. And I think if you ask the auction houses and the dealers out here, they probably echo a very similar sentiment, that with COVID, if you're lucky, one of those people lucky enough to have a job and you're working from home, you're not traveling, you're not going to restaurants, you're probably not going to the stores as much, and there's this pent-up demand. I've got excess money sitting in my bank account right now, and if you're a collector, that's a great thing. You're saying, I'm going to use some of that and buy more. And I've seen prices in almost every category, all the collectibles, just huge increases this year. So with that demand, we've also seen the same demand in our service. So while I 100% understand what you're saying, you'd also look from the business perspective, we're struggling to keep up right now. And does it make sense now to split resources off and start opening up another office? So I don't think that'll happen in the next year or two, but definitely over time. They're going to keep trying to expand the footprint. I was in Dubai actually a year ago for the purpose of developing a presence in that market, and then COVID hit, so that was all put on hold. But I think you will see more of this, and it's really just getting the cash infusion there quickly, and that was part of why Blackstone was brought in. So thank you. Hi, Connor.
Thank you, Colin, for your presentation. Are NGC and PMG Exploring offering RFID chips in the holders and labels at this time?
Sorry, can you explain that?
RFID chips like PCS
yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. We're always those holders that keep evolving. It's just like the paper money or coins. Anytime you have a product, it's the counterfeiters are looking at it very closely, and what can we do to copy this? And so I think that's definitely at least a topic subject right now. And as future holders get evolved, I think that will be looked at.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question regarding the use by museums on central banks on your grading and certification services. You already mentioned something regarding that, but I would like you to expand on this. Thank you very much.
Okay. And the mentioning that, so I mentioned specifically the Smithsonian Institute in the United States that used it. And so while I would say that's not, most museums will have things where they don't want to necessarily encapsulate it, but what this offers, especially if there's a fragile paper item, putting it in the holder preserves that integrity. It won't get damaged. It's now sealed. It's completely inert, the material, so it's not going to react with any of the inks or the paper to cause further damage. So number one, it protects the note. Number two, some of the smaller museums will use it because they don't necessarily have perfect climate control, whereas so the holder is sealed in the perfect humidity and the right conditions. And you always have to take care of your note or coin. I mean, don't leave the note sitting in direct sunlight or something. That's not going to protect it. But if you take reasonable care, the holder will help preserve it. What a lot of the museums like too is with the label, it describes what's in the holder, so they don't have to use their expertise necessarily to make a separate little display or stand. So that's where that's coming from. It's really more that they trust what we're doing, and the actual plastic itself is something they look at very closely. What's in it? We want to make sure this isn't going to hurt the document, and it's very similar to the same types of holders they use as well.
Hello.
Good morning.
If we feel that there is a mistake in the labeling, is there any way that we can send it back to you and change it? You know, if it's correct, you know, my assumption. And if who's going to pay for the shipment?
Right. Yeah, it's good. And you can imagine we've done about 6.5 million notes, and like the coins are 50 million. And while we don't like mistakes do happen, and we wouldn't need to offer a guarantee if we thought we were 100% perfect. We're human beings, so things happen. And one of the more common mistakes are on the labels. And why that happens is you have the research team and they're punching in the code. It's often a PIC number, and if they mistype something, you might get the wrong variety, for example, on there. It should be caught in the next stage when the grader looks at it. They're supposed to look and make sure it's the correct variety, but every once in a while, yes, you could have something like that where there's an error on the label. If that happens, 100%, yes, you can ship that back to us. We'll correct it, change it for free, and pay all your shipping. So we reimburse your shipping, and we'll ship it back to you free. And even doing that, we know that's a pain. Collectors don't want to do that. If there's an error on the label, it really bugs collectors. It bugs me. So that's the best way to make sure PMG and NGC don't make those kind of mistakes. Send it back. You know, it costs us money, every mistake. So if you see something out there, by all means, yeah, it's covered. And also, you know, to continue on your question a bit, if you see something in a holder that you think, you've talked to some experts, I think this is counterfeit, or I don't agree, I think this grade is way too high, I see there's some problem here, I don't think PMG did that correctly, that's an also free service. You would send that in under what we call an appearance review, and the graders will look at that very carefully. Did we get that right? Is it a little bit too high? If it's say we said it was VF30 and we really think, oh, that should be VF25 or VF20, then what would happen is if we downgrade that, we would owe you the difference in market value between the 30 and the 25. Or if it's a counterfeit, we look at it, we graded a counterfeit, we would owe you what you paid for that. Okay.
Well, I had a question, but it's already been solved in the other questions.
Good.
So
I like that.
Thank you so much, Colin, for being here. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for collecting.